Well, hello there. I'm Kim Berry, editor of Food and Drink Business. Welcome to our weekly news roundup, brought to you by Hydroflux. In the news this week, Slater & Gordon has launched a class action against A2 Milk Company. It's alleging that the company's financial year guidance for 2020-2021 was misleading. During that time, the company had 4 profit downgrades, as well as a $93 million blowout for the provision of old stock. The A2 Milk Company says it will vigorously defend the case. Endeavour Group and Drinkwise are working together on a pilot program where they're putting low or no alcohol drinks at the front of the stores. What Drinkwise has found during the pandemic is that while alcohol consumption in the general population has either stabilised or in fact is dropping, for those that are classified as risky drinkers, their intake actually increased up to 31% during the pandemic. So this trial is looking at putting these products front of store, and I guess in a process of normalising them and making them a first option when people walk in. An interesting statistic that Drinkwise found was that of those people who are drinking, who have stopped drinking or are choosing low or no alcohol beverages, around 35% of them are not mentioning it to their friends or people that they associate with because of the pushback from it. So what they're finding also is that 6 in 10 drinkers aged from 18 to 24 are saying that they actually want to cut back on their alcohol intake. They're piloting the program in Queensland, where risky drinkers, the rate is 6% higher than the national average, and they will then roll it out after after the findings of that initial pilot. A program that's been developed to fast-track expansion into Asia called Grow to Asia has just launched and selected its inaugural 8 food and beverage companies that it will take on that journey. The program's been developed by Food Futures in Australia, Grow in Singapore, and Austrade. Head to the website because there's some really interesting companies in those. Well, they're all actually very interesting in that 8. And it will be great to see how that goes and what their future looks like when they're in those export markets. The Australian Manufacturing Growth Centre has announced the recipients of rounds 4 and 5 of the federal government's commercialisation fund. There's 2 food and beverage companies in there. One is the Tasmanian company Sea Forest, which is working with seaweed and then looking at incorporating that into animal feed to reduce methane emissions. And the other one is a company called Zay Tai-Fi, which is working with food and beverage producers who are in regional and rural areas to better develop their IT systems and to obviously in that way increase productivity and efficiencies. The podcast this week is a fantastic dynamic conversation with Grant Davidson from Davidson Branding. Grant is one of those people where you could ask a question and his knowledge on it is encyclopedic. It's a great conversation. We look at the trends that are currently happening in food and beverage, particularly looking at the rise of the millennial, but also looking at other trends that have either been fast-tracked or that have sprung up during the pandemic. For these stories and more, please head to the website foodanddrinkbusiness.com.au. Thanks to Hydroflux. And with that, I'm Kim Berry, over and out.